together, and how fun it is to zoom from one module to the other. At first, we're not very good, so I'm thinking that someone who has circus experience might be a little better, a little earlier. But even then, it takes some getting used to. It is different than on good old planet Earth. I'm sure he'll do fine.
And we're back in Florida, and it's Peter for Commander Polanski. Mark, you may remember back in the 60s, there was some resistance to putting television aboard Apollo, but we know what TV on board did to help us follow the Apollo astronauts along to the moon and really help popularize the moon missions even more. These days, you're on Twitter as well as a number of other astronauts, and I'm wondering what you would tell your fellow space flyers about the benefits and maybe even the difficulties of trying to keep us informed on Twitter. Has that worked for you?
I mean, Twitter's been a really interesting experience for me. I think I said at our press conference prior to launch that I didn't know Twitter, tweet, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm not a real sophisticated guy with all of that Facebook, MySpace stuff. But I've learned a lot. And it's been really fun. At first, for me, it was a one-way thing where I just transmitted, and then I actually figured out that people responded, I could read, and then I could respond to them. So it's been a big learning experience. I enjoy the fact that I get to go ahead and give little updates about what's going on, and that there are people that maybe would not otherwise be interested in what we do that have exposure to it, which I think is something that we like everyone to have, is an understanding of what goes on. Certainly up here, the complication on the shuttle mission is that it is hard to find the time, believe it or not, to write 140-character tweet, because the time is just jam-packed with activities, very complicated activities, and then at the end of the day, you barely have enough time sometimes to catch dinner and get yourself to bed. So some days are a little bit sketchy for me to be able to get things out.
Well, I know a lot of people appreciate the insights, and we in the media are enjoying your tweets as well. We're told to wrap it up, so thank you so much, Endeavour crew. Have a safe rest of your mission, and we'll see you when you get back here to Florida.
Thanks, guys.
Endeavour ISS, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the CBS News portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from WREG-TV.
Kibo Laboratory tried to fix it up. And I believe we have the crew now, so this is how we start the copy. Space Shuttle Endeavour and International Space Station. This is WREG-TV Memphis. How do you copy?
We have you loud and clear. How are you in Memphis?
We are wonderful. Thank you very much. Several grueling spacewalks this past week, and today you get to enjoy a little bit of downtime. We certainly thank you for taking the time to talk with us this morning. We're going to start with Commander Mark Polanski, an astronaut for more than a dozen years, no stranger to the International Space Station, your third trip up to help build the ISS. Commander, this mission's primary goal was to finish up the Japanese Kibo Laboratory module and replace some batteries. How much more work is left before the space station is considered complete?
Before the space station's complete, there's still a lot of work. We still have a number of space shuttle missions left. We're going to bring up another, what we call a node, which is a place where we attach a lot of modules to. As a matter of fact, that's where we are right now in a node 2, called Harmony, which was not here during my last space mission. We're going to have a cupola, which will have a lot of views of outside, and for doing robotics. The Russians are going to launch a module or two. So there are a few things, but in terms of the core, I believe that the core is complete for accomplishing what station was designed to do.
Thank you, Commander. Let's turn it over to pilot Douglas Hurley. After 8 years as an astronaut, your first time up, and although you have planned, trained, prepared, now that you are up in space, is it everything that you imagined?
Definitely everything and then some. We've gotten to do a ton of work up here, gotten to look out the window a little bit. We're hoping today to look out a little bit more, which is something that's, for a pilot, it's pretty hard to describe since I'm not very good with words, but it's incredible to look out the window. So, yeah, it's everything I'd hoped for and even a little bit more, I would say. So far exceeded my expectations.
Mission Specialist Dr. David Wolf spent 4 months on the Mir space station, many spacewalks under his ISS belt. Dr. Wolf, there must be some satisfaction from all the years of hard work that you've put into the station. Is it exciting to see the progress each time you return?
You know, the space station we built is truly a modern miracle of all human history. And to see what I'm looking at now, so 100 feet that way, several modules to my left and right, seeing it from the outside, seeing newer spacewalkers become highly talented spacewalkers, it draws out the very best in our society. There's top-notch science going on that can't be done on Earth, tissue engineering, regenerative medicine. This is a meeting place of international cultures, both on Earth and on the ground, as the teams work together. It's fabulous, both physically and the culturally, what it does for us.
Mission Specialist Chris Cassidy, you spent 10 years as a Navy SEAL. 5 years ago, NASA gave you the call to come on board. You and Dr. Wolf have spent a lot of time this past week on spacewalks. Do you think the folks at home understand just how much training and preparation is necessary for you guys to make it look so easy up there?
Well, I'm not sure. I know I didn't appreciate how challenging a spacewalk was prior to coming to NASA, and then the training required to get there. But I definitely think the training team and the NASA team in general prepares us very well. I felt our neutral buoyancy laboratory down there in Houston is a tremendous replica of what we're going to go to do in space. In fact, when Tom and I were outside yesterday, several times we said to each other, hey, this is just like the pool. So the training that we get is fantastic and really, really prepares us well. Now, whether or not the American public is aware of that, well, they ought to come to Houston, and we'd be happy to show them around.
Well, I promise you I would be first in line to come down there and check that out. Mission Specialist Julie Payette is from the Canadian Astronaut Corps. Julie, I have been amazed at how instrumental the Canada Arm, as it is called, has been in all phases of the shuttle program, not just working on the International Space Station. Do those back in your homeland share the same enthusiasm of the space program that we do?
I believe we certainly do. We've been a partner with NASA from the very get-go of the first building of the satellites in the early 60s. And currently here on Space Station, there are 2 Canadian astronauts. There's my colleague Bob Thirsk, who's here for a long-duration flight for 6 months, and then me with my shuttle crew. We have a lot of people following our endeavor here in space, and people very, very proud of the technology, and so am I. I must say that I had a little twinge of pride when I saw the 2 Canadian arms, the one from the shuttle and the one from the station, the first time that we handed up a big piece of equipment from one arm to the other as we installed it on station. But it's just a little small part of a very big international project, and for that I am even more proud.
I can't thank you all enough for your time this morning. I know it's a day off. I'm going to let you go now, start looking out the window and enjoying the rest of your day off. And just remember, if you ever get to Memphis, barbecue is on me, so come on by after your safe landing in just about a week's time. Thanks again for joining us. And by the way, for those of you at home, Commander Mark
Endeavour ISS with Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, WREG-TV, CBS News, and WREG-TV. Endeavour ISS, we are now resuming operational audio communications. And Koichi with you on Space to Ground 2, if you're there.